Eric, the very first question I wanted to ask you was, can you please tell the audience about yourself and describe some of the projects you are currently working on at SSAI?
Yeah, certainly. I've been with SSAI for a little over 10 years now. They inherited me when they won a contract 10 years ago. They won the research laboratory support contract.
Mhm.
I've been with the EPA on a support role on these contracts since 2003. And I guess my education, I went to the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. It's in the western part of Wisconsin. Go Blue Golds. And I got a degree in biochemistry and molecular biology. And like I said, in 2003, I kind of did some other jobs. I started with the EPA and I did some open path FTIR, some coal ash reuse projects. But currently, I work with doing Homeland Security projects. And one of my current projects is we are evaluating different portable monitors that first responders would take into let's say, a clandestine lab or a crime scene. And we're seeing how well they detect chemical weapons and opiates. So we have some simulated, we actually do work with fentanyl, benzylfentanyl, because those are two really big things in the news right now. You've heard the different things. And we're also testing pesticide, which is malathion, and a sulfur mustard surrogate, 2-seeps it's called. So that's currently what we're working on. And we've done other stuff with Homeland Security also. And we have a team there. And we do all kinds of research, from combustion research, PFAS, which has been in the news too. Those are biggies. It's just whatever research the EPA wants us to do on site, they give us a task order and we make it happen.
That's great to hear, Eric. And wow, that's very interesting. And I really appreciate you highlighting a little bit about your background and some of your projects that you have worked on. Eric, my next question I wanted to ask you was, you have a background spanning chemical manufacturing, pharmaceutical quality control, forensic drug chemistry, and environmental research. How has working across these different sectors shaped your approach to supporting Homeland Security research at the EPA? And what unique challenges or discoveries have emerged when applying your skills?
So I started out at college doing chemical manufacturing. And what I really learned about from that aspect of chemistry is there are deadlines because there are customers waiting for your product. And there's also cost. You only have so much time and so much money to do so. Pharmaceutical QC, one of the biggest things I learned there was there are procedures, because you have to follow procedures to make sure that you're QCing this drug the same way every time, and there's accuracy. You have to be accurate and accountable. The forensic drug chemistry was interesting because whatever you did, when I said this substance was cocaine or heroin or nothing, all those analyses went into the court of law. What I found out, that might be the difference between someone going to jail, not to jail, getting a fine, going free. And with the environmental research, especially at the EPA, I learned a lot of flexibility. You get these projects, you come up with an idea of what's going on, and sometimes you guess right, and you get the results you're thinking, and sometimes you don't, and you have to really think on your feet. And I guess all these skills really kind of gave me the ability, because when you're doing a project, you need to be accurate. Some of these results might someday get put into regulations, or which is huge. And then we are given a certain amount of money. So, you have to stay within your budget. You have to figure out what you can do and can't do. And then you have to work with your client, which in our case is the EPA, to make sure that we meet their needs. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I've learned with all that stuff.
Absolutely, Eric. Well, you brought up a lot of excellent points in terms of things to consider. So, in terms of that, like I said, it's very cool. It's very fascinating to hear, just a little bit deeper about some of the work that you've done there. So, I appreciate you highlighting a little bit more about that. And for our audience and viewers who might not be as familiar just with the EPA, would you mind just sharing what that acronym stands for?
Certainly. I work at the Environmental Protection Agency. I'm in Research Triangle Park, North Carolina. There's a large research facility, and the different types of research are done there. I mean, air research, water research, Homeland Security research. We have things like we have a biological laboratory which can do biological samples in the environment, or we have a bacteria that's a anthrax surrogate, so we can track how anthrax would go through the environment, or what happens if anthrax got on a table. We can try different decontamination techniques, etc. So we're basically at a facility with the EPA. It's more of like a research arm. We really don't do much of I mean, everyone hears the EPA with the regulation side. There's a regulation side and a research side. We're on the research side.
Very nice. I appreciate you sharing that for our audience and viewers. Eric, again, just as a side note, I appreciate you further clarifying that. Eric, my next question I wanted to ask you was, with your extensive experience in chemistry, environmental research, and field work, how have you seen SSAI's technical capabilities directly contribute to protecting communities, supporting the Department of Defense, or even saving lives through Homeland Security research? And can you share a project or example where science truly made a tangible impact?
I actually thought of just of three of them, not just one. We did a project for the U.S. Coast Guard, and what they were checking is they have procedures to manufacture cleaning agents, like with seawater, and they have different soaps and everything they use. They have a procedure list. What we did is we tested that procedure against anthrax, like spores or anthrax surrogates. So we had some what we call test coupons. They're 1 foot by 1 foot pieces of, for example, we had marine grade aluminum, like the boats are made of. Some of the boats are made of. We had siding for the roof. We had concrete blocks like for the sidewalk. And what we did is we'd contaminate these building materials or equipment materials that you would find at a typical Coast Guard station with this anthrax surrogate. And then we used their procedure, which included like we had simulated seawater, because the Coast Guard's by the ocean, so they have tons of water. So a lot of stuff is made with water. So we saw the efficacy of their technique on how to remove this anthrax if there was an attack on like a Coast Guard boat or station. So that's one that sticks out. We also got involved when COVID-19 was a big deal back around, was it 2020? We tested a lot of agents to see if they could kill COVID. Now we don't have a laboratory where we can actually work with the real virus, but we use surrogate viruses. So we tested different techniques for cleaning clothing. Something as simple as, do you need to use something special, or could you just wash this in Tide? So we test commercial off-the-shelf stuff, and we test more specialty stuff. And we also tested how to clean surfaces off, different surfaces like a countertop or a refrigerator. Tested glasses. Could we reuse masks? All those things that were an issue, especially when COVID first hit and the economy shut down, and we didn't know if we could get more clothing, more masks, more, etc. And then the last thing I thought of is for first responders. We tested different ways to decontaminate people who were in like crime scenes, like if there was a fentanyl in there and the person's suited up, or anthrax, they come out, the person needs to be decontaminated. We tested different apparatuses to decontaminate them, one for effectiveness, and the second one was to reduce the amount of waste. I mean, I can take someone out and hose them down with 1,000 gallons of water, but now that 1,000 gallons of water is contaminated. Now you have to do something with it. So we tested different sprayers, different chemicals to try to get that volume down. So number one, people were decontaminated safely. And then number two, we didn't generate so much waste that, now what do you do next? So those are kind of the three things that really pop out at me that we've done that's really made a difference in the world.
Wow, that's awesome, Eric, to hear. And I appreciate you sharing, the variety of projects there that you've done. That's all, very, very fascinating. And, you're impacting different groups of people as well. So that's just very cool to hear. And I appreciate you highlighting a little bit more about some projects or examples where science truly made a tangible impact. Eric, my final question I wanted to ask you was, and this is a fun question, just as a side note, but the question was, you've worked in labs, basically everywhere chemistry can happen. If you could design your dream chemistry experiment without any limits, what would it be, and how might it make an impact on environmental safety?
I thought about this one a little bit, and the thing I came up with was I read a article recently talking about microplastics in the environment. And in this article, they said like an adult human being could have up to a plastic spoon's worth of plastic in their brain, which is crazy. And so I'm kind of interested in where this microplastic is coming from in the environment. Now, if you think about it, you look around your room or look around anywhere, we're surrounded by plastic. I mean, the shirts we're wearing, the seats we sit in, etc. It all made of plastic. And this is kind of an area that's just kind of people are just starting to worry about. So my thought is I would like to study water, like microplastics in water, because you've heard of the big like garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean, where it's this huge area that's got plastic and microplastics are falling off. But then I also read some stuff about things like your dishwasher. You have plastic dishes, a lot of dishwashers are plastic lined. When you wash dishes, there's microplastics coming off there. Or your wash machine, your clothes, you have synthetic fibers in your clothing, and you wash that and you get some microplastics off there. So I guess a dream experiment would be to see how much microplastic is actually coming off of like washing dishes, washing clothes, just maybe general household usage of water and how much plastic's in it. And then maybe you research into what could we do about it? Could we put certain type of filtration systems? Would it be feasible to put a filtration system in the sewer line at my house, or would that make more sense at a sewage treatment facility? Or maybe we look at some of the plastics we're using and say, this plastic really gives a lot of microplastic pieces off when you wash it in a wash machine or wash it in a dishwasher. Maybe we should rethink what plastics we're using for what. So that's kind of, if I had a dream one, that's kind of what I would study.
That's awesome. And yeah, like you said, that is definitely a big issue. So, and it can still definitely be worked on. So, you never exactly know based on the current work that you and your team are doing. That's very interesting. I wasn't aware of that article mentioning about microplastics like in your brain. So if you definitely have that article, I would love to see it. So that'd be
fun for you.
Perfect. Awesome. For our audience and viewers who are curious, we'll certainly provide a link for you to check out that article too for you to read. So please, again, definitely click on the links in the YouTube description of this video. So that'll be a very interesting read. So Eric, again, I really appreciate you highlighting about that dream project there. And With that, Eric, again, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to talk with me today. You are truly a rock star who is really making an impact and a difference globally, and everybody around the world is going to continue to be fascinated by the great work that you and your team do. Please definitely keep us informed. Let us know about some continued insights that come up from both you and your team's research. And we're very, very excited to highlight that in the future.
Well, thank you. It was fun.